What's going on, everybody? It's Chris from Profoto USA, and today we are live and we're outside, and I'm going to show you guys how to fake a sunset in your shot. So right now we're in Atlanta, Georgia. It's overcast. It's been raining for like the last month, so it's it's great light, but you know, what if I want to get a look of a golden hour with a sunset in the background? And we're gonna do that. So we're actually in my backyard because I want to show you guys that you can do this really anywhere. As you can see, I've got houses for my neighbors who live behind me who are probably wondering what the heck's going on right now in the backyard. I have Annie here. She is going to be our lovely model today as we do this. And so we're actually doing this setup with two lights. We're gonna be using a Profoto A1 that's gelled, and we're gonna be using a B10, which is right here, which is also gelled a little bit less, and then we're gonna shoot it through a translucent umbrella. So the things that you have to kind of think about whenever you're trying to make a golden hour look with a sunset is the overall feel of the shot in the first place. So a golden hour shot, obviously the sun's starting to go down, so it's going to be more of a soft light. So you have to think about that first. The upside here is that we have an overcast sky, but because it's in the middle of the day, it's 1 o'clock here Eastern on the East Coast of the United States. The light is it's white light. It's really, really clear. So it doesn't really look like golden hour would look. And obviously the sun is like up there somewhere behind the clouds. So it's definitely not a sunset. So we do a couple of things to kind of get there first. So the very, very first thing that I did was I set my white balance on my camera to a custom Kelvin. So I'm right around 7,000, 8,000 on my Kelvin. And what that's gonna do, so if I take, let me turn off my air remote. So if I take a shot of the background, fire back up. So if I take a shot of the background, you'll see that the photo in and of itself of this lovely sunset portion of it. So what we're gonna do is back here in the trees, I have an A1 set up. It's on a light stand. I have it, if you can see, I'm about 5'9". It's a little above head height. I kind of have it coming in. So I don't know if you can see it the same plane that I can see it at when I'm taking the photos, but the plane I have it coming at is right kind of where the foliage kind of crests at the sky. So it actually looks like what it's supposed to look like. So I'm probably gonna have that powered all the way up, and I have it zoomed in really, really tight. But from Annie, so from me, I have to say, what, 30 feet from it? She's probably 20 feet from it, but it's got a lot of power, so it's easily gonna be able to do what it is that we want it to do. So I have that sitting back there. I'm going to bring in a B10. I have, just so you know, on the A1, I have a full CTO gel on it. So it's zoomed all the way in, CTO gel, clipped onto the front, no dome diffuser, no nothing. I want the light just blasting all over. So my B10 I'm gonna use, because you have to remember So you can do this anywhere. So before I start firing off some shots, I'm gonna see if you guys have any questions for me. Anything that I can answer for you. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, gotcha. Audio keeps dropping out. Guy, come read the comments. Gotcha. Let's see. Hey, hold on a second. Hold on a second. That's what we're on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So, hold on. Yes, you are deaf now. Hold on a second. So, hey, just confirm with me, everybody, that you can see the comments, or that you can hear me real quick, and I will go back over what it is that I just said. Cool. Last 2 to 3. Okay, gotcha. So we'll just go over what it is that I said, because it's pretty straightforward. So the things that you want to remember whenever you're shooting a shot that looks like golden hour is, and like I said, the first thing that I did is I set my camera to a white balance that's going to make it feel warmer. So I'm about 7,000, 8,000 Kelvin inside my camera. So we have that set there. Perfect. The A1 is in the background, and it is, I'm going to turn this way so I can see if you guys have any comments for me while I'm chitty-chatting. So the A1 is set into the background. It's got a full cut CTO gel on side of it. So it's a full CTO. I'm gonna have it powered almost all the way up, and it's zoomed in pretty tight just so I can get the light right where I want it. But I try to set the head to where the light is gonna hit right around the spot where the trees and the skyline meet. That way it feels a little more like it's actually the sunshine. So we've gotten the overall scene warmer with the camera by adjusting the color temperature. We've got the sunset that we're mimicking in the background with the A1. And so I'm gonna bring in a B10 as a subtle fill to my to the whole setup. I'm using a shoot-through umbrella. I've talked about this before in the past, and I'm just confirming now that okay, cool, Kelly, thanks for the heads up. So I use a shoot-through umbrella just because I want it to be a lot softer, but have a natural taper on the edges. So usually when you shoot with like a silver umbrella or a white interior umbrella, you're gonna have a defined edge on the outside, and I don't want that. I want it to taper nicely and look a lot more natural. So we have that. I have the OCF gel kit on front of the B10. I've got a half of a cut of CTO on that, so we're good there too. So let's see. We got our translucent shoot through. We have our B10 set up. I'm using, just so you guys know, I'm shooting into Capture 1 if anyone asks. On top of that, I'm shooting with, hold on, let me pull up Capture 1. Hang on a second. So shooting into Capture 1, I'm using a Fuji X-T3. It's just the camera that I'm using. And I have an 80mm, the 80mm macro 2.8. So if any of you guys are asking specific gear questions there, I generally like to shoot whenever, especially if you're in a scene, you don't have to shoot really wide open. With a scene like this where I have, my neighbor's fence in the background and my other neighbors, back at their house, I want to shoot with a more wide open aperture just so I can blur a lot of that stuff out, and it can really start to look like I'm somewhere that isn't my backyard. So let's do that. Let's fire off a couple shots with Annie. So I've got my camera hooked up. So for the most part, I've told you guys how to do this thing before, but what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a TTL shot first to set my baseline exposure. Actually, I need to put my umbrella up really quick, but I'm gonna take a TTL shot to set my baseline exposure. And then from there, I'm gonna lock down into manual mode, and then I'll be able to control the power of my lights individually. So I've got my B10 on group A. So if I need to power up or power it down, I just select group A and hit the energy buttons. And then my A1's on group B. And the other really rad stuff about our system is the range in which the flash works. You have a 1,000-foot travel range for just syncing itself, but with the TTL portion of it, I have 300 feet to play with, which is pretty cool. So camera settings, just so you know, I'm at 250th of a second. I'm actually gonna hold it up and double check everything looks the way that I want it to before I fire off. ISO 160, f2.8, 2/50th of a second, and I'm going to look through to make sure that my fill flash, the wind's got it, it's sandbagged up, so it should be fine. It's sandbagged up. Yeah, no, I've learned that lesson too many times.
How big of a smile do you want?
So my fill light looks the way that I want, so my flash is off. I'm going to take this shot so you guys can see the fill. So the fill light looks pretty good. So actually I could probably even crank this back a little bit more, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to live with it the way that it is. So let's take this TTL shot. I'm going to go in a little bit tighter. So we have a little bit of the light coming in there. You can see from the side, and the background light set. So now when I flip to manual mode, it will hold that power setting. And so now when I take the shot, so right now when I took the TTL shot, it kind of baselined everything out and it made it look, there's a little bit of light back there, but it kind of looks more like a hair light than it does anything else. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna select B, and I'm gonna power the A1 all the way up. So I'm gonna take it up to 10. So let's go to B. We're gonna power all the way up. If you hold down the energy button on the air remote, you can actually move in full stops as opposed to having to click it a million billion times to get up to where you want. So now when I take the shot, oh, gotta go hat backwards. There we go. So now you can see in the shot that one of the things that you get a lot from the sun, and you can do it to taste however you'd like to do it, but the sun's gonna flare the shot. So I've got it creeping around a little bit right here for the flare. I could pull it back a little bit if I didn't want that much of it, but like I said, it's kind of in a nice little area where it's kind of peering through. If I had a little more foliage closer up that I could actually kind of put the light through the leaves, I would do that, but it's kind of clear in my backyard. So, but it looks really, really great, and I might, just to see what it looks like, let's pull it back a stop and just get a look at that. It's right here, Annie. There we go. And so that's it with the A1 pulled back about a stop. So you're at a power level of 9. And I still have a little bit to play with, but it looks incredibly realistic. Like I said, the overall feel of the shot is incredibly warm because I set that color temperature to get that feeling. I've got a nice soft fill coming in from the umbrella. It's a large umbrella. So it's really, really great. So let me see if you guys have any questions about anything. Let's see, there we go. Click into this thing. Let's see, actually, it might be best to do it. Let's grab, I'm gonna pull up my phone, guys, and see if you guys have any comments, because that's generally how I do it. So, but for the most part, it's a really, really easy setup. It doesn't really take much, and like I said, the A1 does a really, really good job. I could probably even do the exact same thing with the A1 on the actual, as the main light. So you could, it doesn't require something like, let's see, power level. I'm at 6.2 on the power level, which means on an A1, I'm probably at like 7.2 or 8.2. So I still have, almost 2 stops to play with just with the A1. So you could easily do an A1 as your main light and an A1 as your fill in the back. So let's see what we got going on here. I know that a lot of you guys were letting me know that we were having some audio issues, so hopefully we're back in business on that. Let's see what we got going on here. I don't see you guys here. Let's see. Sorry, guys. So, for the most part, let's see. Good job. Thank you, Teddy. I'm glad you like it, man. Setting for the B10. So, I think I just said it, but let me just reiterate it. 6.2. So, we're 4 stops down from full power on the B10. So, we have a ton of wiggle room on the top side, which is really, really awesome. Let's see. Hold on just one second. Trying to get this connection going on. Here we go. Here we go. All right, let's see. Hey, Chris, good job, thanks, no problem. So what modifiers are available for the A1? So right now, Jeff, A1 modifiers that we have are the soft bounce, which is kind of like a little dome that goes to the top of it that gathers up all the light, throws it forward. To me, it looks a lot like a beauty dish. At least that's what to me it is. So it could look different to somebody. But the nice thing about it over using like a bounce card is it's gathering all the light and pushing it forward. So it's about a stop more efficient. You have the gel kit, which is what I'm using back here on that A1 in the background. We have a grid kit, which comes with, I think it's a 10 and a 20. And you can, I did a live on it before, but we actually stacked up the grid kit and you can actually stack them together and get even tighter beam. I think it's about 5 degrees. So we have those, and then you get, whenever you purchase the individual A1 kit, you get the dome, the bounce card, and the wide flood lens. Whenever you buy the duo kit, you just get the domes, because a lot of times people who are buying the duo kit, they're using them off camera, and the card and the wide lens don't make a ton of sense with that. So, but those are the modifiers we have for that. Let's see. Kevin, I'm glad you like it. Oh, umbrella size for the main light, I'm using the large. So it's the large, deep, translucent umbrella. It's the one that I like to travel with. I either travel with that or the medium. The XL for me is just a little too big. I usually wind up using the XL for a quick scrim if I need one, but the large is a lot of times my go-to. I mean, if you go look at it, it's pretty beat up. You can tell that I take it with me all over the place. So let's see. So I'm in the southeast United States, in Atlanta, Georgia. So we generally don't get snow here, and if we do, everything's shut down, even like this much snow. So no snow here. It's just a little overcast. It's a little chilly, but believe it or not, I could probably get away with a light sweater. I mean, you're doing pretty good, right? Light sweater. So Andy's rocking with a light sweater. Mark Anthony needs more modifiers. I agree, and we're always working on stuff for our stuff. So if you have any suggestions of things that you would like to see, send them to me. I'll forward all that stuff to Sweden. I do it every single time. R&D gets every single request that you guys ask for because I forward them up there. So let's see. Can I use the A1 as the main? Yeah, I mean, we got time, let's do it. Let's just switch them around real quick. My gels are a little different between the two, so that could be an issue. It may not be, but we'll see what happens. So just show you that you can do this with the A1 as well as the B10, that you don't have to have the B10 for this. So let's take this bad boy down. That's a really awesome idea. Let's see. Take this off. So because I haven't switched out my gels on the A1 either, it may go a little warmer than we'd like, but we can always dial back the power a little bit and get what we want. So let's take this bad boy. So now we have the B10 going back into the woods, in the wooded area. Let's boom this thing up some more, right there. Make sure that it's on level ground. That would be a bummer if I dropped it. There we go. Cool, and let's get the A1 boomed up. So the A1, if anyone wonders, I have it on, it's like a Manfrotto, like articulating arm, and it has an umbrella port on there. Any hot shoe, cold adapter, for the most part, umbrella mount will have one of these things. So that's what I'm using. This one's by Manfrotto, if anyone wonders. Let's see. So lock that sucker into place. So let's do it backwards. So since I changed my lights out, I'm gonna take another TTL exposure, and then we'll lock it down and we'll fine tune from there. So let's get this into place. I'm gonna bring it out a little bit. I'm actually gonna make sure that I'm locked down right here. All right, guys. And I'm also, I have the head zoomed in for when we were doing that, so I'm gonna zoom the head out. And let's boom it up, see what happens. So cool. Let's fire off a shot. We'll see what happens. So let me get you guys back over here to capture. So Once again, because I changed some stuff around, I'm gonna flip into TTL mode and take the first shot. Hat's gotta go backwards. Wait for my camera to wake up. There we go. So perfect, so there's the first shot. The light looks good on any, but I need to power up my B10 more. So let's go to group A and take it up as much as I can. I'm taking it up 5 stops. It's definitely gonna be a lot more than what I was getting out of the A1. And just so you know, power setting on the A1 right now, it's actually at 4.5. I could probably boost, I could obviously boost it up a little bit more, but let's see what everything looks like. So there they are switched out. So you have the A1 coming to the front, from the front. If I wanted to supplement a little bit more of that in, I could go, let's see what happens if I go up a stop, just so we can see for fun. Right here, Annie. So there you go. That's them switched out. So you could easily do this, like I said, with a couple of A1s. You don't have to do this with, let's see. You don't have to do it with B10s. You could, like I said, easily use a couple of A1s. You get a duo kit, grab an air remote, and you'd be rocking and rolling. Shoot through umbrella, like I said, the reason I chose a shoot through umbrella is just because it tapers a little more naturally. And like you can see whenever you saw in the shot of Annie, which will pop back over there, there's no discernible line showing you where the light ends. So it feels really, really natural. So it's a really easy thing to create yourself. And I did it, like I said, I did it right here in my backyard. So you're not limited to where you can make this happen. So just to kind of reiterate, if you're tuning in a little bit late, so what we did, and just make sure I don't have any comments too while we're doing that. Jeff, I'm glad you like it. Pretty killer, right? And like I said, that last shot that I even took, I'm at 5.5 on the power. So I still have 4.5 stops of light to go up. So I got a ton of wiggle room. So let's reiterate, let's go over this one more time just to cap it all off and summarize everything. So the very first thing that I did is I took my camera and I set my white balance to something that would help out with the ambient right now, because it's outside, it's overcast, it's really cool looking. It's great light for the most part in the first place, but it doesn't look like golden hour. It's really, really white light. So we set that Kelvin to something that warms up the image. I could have taken it to 8,000, but that was a little too warm for my taste. Granted, it's personal preference, so just choose whatever you want. So I've got my white balance set. From there, I'm going to, like I had Annie in the shot, I pulled it up to kind of get my fill light the way that I wanted, to make sure that I didn't have too much contrast in between my light coming in and the light that was already in the ambient. And then that way it's gonna also, once again, make it feel like not artificial. So the next thing I did is and we just switched this out when we were originally doing this, but I put my light in the background. It's gelled up with, this one right here is gelled with a half cut of CTO, and it did a great job. The A1, when we had it back there, was gelled with a full cut of CTO. So however you feel like you need to work with it. So we put that back there. I brought the light up into the front. Like I said, I use a shoot through umbrella because once again, it tapers naturally. And then just pointed in there. Fired off a TTL shot, locked it down in manual, and made some quick adjustments. A lot of the times, because you're gonna want that flare, because that's kind of one of the things that kind of gives that low contrast look, but still feels, real summery, real golden hour-ish. You're gonna wanna power the backlight up a lot. And so I think, just to go look at it, I probably have the backlight powered up to about 10. And you know what? I know that I'm doing this backwards because I could just pull my phone up now. Yeah, so I'm at 9. I'm at a stop down, so I'm pumping out 125 watts for the backlight. So I could go up even brighter if I wanted more flare. So hopefully that was some cool information for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. Thanks for sticking around for a second while my audio was going bonkers. But hopefully you guys learned something really, really cool. So go out, have an awesome weekend, shoot something cool, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, guys. Thanks. Yeah. That was awesome.